Let's get to Adade Kwaku before any other. Kwaku.
Yeah, good evening to the whole university community and everybody listening to us in and around Kumasi metropolis. Well, you see, on Sunday it was a very, bad and horrific incident that occurred to the whole of Ghanaians, I should say, because a statesman is regarded as a hero, and if anything affects the statesman, it affects the whole nation. See, the fire outbreak that punched the premises, the bungalow of former President Rawlings. We don't even know the cause of it, but we're just making certain predictions, be it how do you call it, electrical failure and what have you. But the point is as Jeffy stated in his initial submission, that there is always an institutional failure. Calamity is meant to happen. As human as we are, you see, sometimes it can be an act of God. Some earthquake and those floods and hurricanes are acts of God, and it's meant to happen. And sometimes mistakes on our parts do cause a whole lot of damage to ourselves. But what we have to know is that no matter how much we protect ourselves against calamity, it will come one way or the other. So what we have to do is to have a tight institutions that can serve as a check when it comes, right? The fire service, we're not good enough, because at the end of the day, we all know that there is a problem when it comes to logistics at their disposal. Right. So it's rather unfortunate, and we thank God that nothing happened to a physical being at the premises. Right. On the issue of the treatment.
Yeah, how you would assess the treatment to both our former presidents?
Right. You see, we have to be objective when tackling issues of such importance. Our various political lenses have to be getting rid of. At the end of the day, the facts are clear. You see, I am here as a social commentator, and I'm being objective. You see, I'm based on the facts. Looking at the Green Street reports, which was initiated by the ex-president Rawlings. At that time, you see, he was the only president, and there wasn't any ex-president. Liman had died, so he benefited from the Green. Well, it's subjected to various opinions. You see, so he benefited from the Green Street reports and the Constitution, the Ghanaian Constitution. Every president, had the mandate of reviewing the emoluments and the packages or the ex gratia that the ex-president, every ex-president should have. That will benefit all ex-presidents. So, Kufuor's administration, right? Initiated was the report again, Shanrihesi committee reports, but the NDC, unfortunately, the NPP couldn't come to power, and the NDC came, and they felt that it was so numerous, right? The package was so awesome, just even though it was going to benefit former President Rawlings and former President Kufuor. Well, some from the camp of the MPP, they were claiming that as a strategy to bring him down, because at the end of the day, even if the former President Rawlings couldn't benefit from it, at least he had enjoyed some before.
Okay, let's look at the legitimacy of the concern that the ex gratia was quite large for this country to contain, against a backdrop of the possibility of the country to actually contain these things. How legitimate was that concern?
You see, well, talking about legitimacy, it is a matter of we being objective rather than subjective. You see, at the end of the day, you see, no country is resourceful to the brim. It's all about management. You see, even with time, the 24-hour time period is not sufficient for the activities of man. That is how come we have time management. Resources are scarce, right? But it's all about how we're going to make good use of it. You see, one thing I believe strongly is Africans always complain about poverty, but looking at countries like India can with the numerous population, almost a quarter, half of them are really in deep poverty. They can still grant loans to other countries, developing countries, for the activities. And sometimes you see AIDS, right? But you see, we refuse to understand the fact that the presidents, right? Politics being an avenue of service. You see, there is a whole lot of commitment that political leaders and political agents goes into, right? Sometimes using their own resources for campaigns and everything. Just imagine one thing: in a political season, the state wants presidential candidates to vie for the post, and nobody comes to vie for it. The nation will be in a state of anarchy. A military junta can just invade the whole system, and the democratic dispensation we are in can be raised off. So we have to value our political leaders, right? At the end of the day, the ex gratia, from the ordinary man's point of view, it is so huge. But we have to look at the portfolio. You see, these presidents, the former presidents, were in. Sometimes the risk involves, being a political leader. Sometimes your policies can affect other people, and they can oppose or attack you in a way. You see, security wise. So I believe strongly that talking about the emoluments of President Kufuor, at the end of the day, he didn't fix it. Rawlings didn't fix it. They rather constituted a committee to look at that matter, and they came out with the findings. Right. That is what the Constitution says. So I believe you just let go. For sometimes there is a need for peace to prevail, and such people having a negative view, reading meanings into it. Just let go. That is the point. Right now, the former president, J. Kufuor, as a matter of fact, is in his own house. The office is in his own house. Initially, he renovated a rich, residence as rich rank or something as his office. And when the NDC came, they said they were going to give that place to the BNI for the operations, and they later on they will find a place for him. And what happened? Till date, it didn't happen. And you raised an issue of sending checks, and later on he was supposed, they gave him an office. Yeah, as a matter of fact. But per what documents? Per what committee report? That is the point. You see, Frank Ajekum was making a point, and we all have to understand. Rawlings benefited. Rawlings and Professor Mills benefited from the Green Story report, right? So, what? Committee report and document. Legal backing as former President Ajekum Kufuor benefiting from. So they regarded it as a token, trying to give the president, a couple of cars and an office somewhere, without any legal documentation. That is the point. Legality prevails in democracy, and that is what I understand. And it is a dent to the integrity of the former president. You trying to give him something without any legal connotation.